All right, y'all, I'm back. I don't know what we're going to get into tonight, but we're going to tear something apart. I had somebody on my, well, a couple of my videos, they wanted to see the cutting blades that I use in my press and in my engine splitter. So I'm going to go over and give you guys a little bit of an interview on that. Get you guys on my head so I can kind of use my hands and point stuff out. All right. What I used when I built these blades, let me get this one out of here. A little bit easier to explain when I get over here. What I used was this piece here, this yellow piece. It was a piece of dozer cutting edge. It had square holes in it right here where it bolted to the front of the blade on a dozer. So this stuff is like super hard tensile strength and wear resistant, big time. So it's like the hardest stuff I could find to be able to do what I do with these particular two pieces. Super hard to grind, super hard to form and shape, but this piece was originally on here, and it was, you know, quite a bit longer. So what I did when I made this, I cut it off to weld it onto here, onto this wood splitter to make my electric motor splitter. I just welded it down, you know, and shaped it, cut it with the plasma cutter to get it to fit on there the way I wanted it. I've broke these welds a couple times. That's why they're so big, and this thing points up a little bit, which actually helps me out because it keeps the motors from rolling up out of there. And but this here, this is just regular, I guess it's hot rolled steel or cold rolled steel, either one, but it's like 3/8. This is 1/2 inch. But I just kind of went up in here and welded some 1/2 inch bar stock up in here. Now I've pressed on a bunch of stuff and bowed this whole plate down. So I had to modify it a little bit, and that's why you see the grinding marks, because it wouldn't go in there very easy. And if you look at it real close, like on a straight edge, if you was to put it right there on this straight edge, you can see that this is actually a little bit crooked. But because this stuff is so hard, and that does help me cut stuff because the angle is a little bit off, but because it was so hard and it was so much to grind, I didn't want to take that bevel out of it. So when I put it in this press and I slide it into where it's at, you can see how it's tapered up across here. It's actually further from here to here than it is from here to here. So what I do is, sometimes you can turn this thing around. Well, you can turn it around, slide it in there. And like right there, now it's a lot closer to me and level with this plane. This is tapered down a little bit. It's just the way when we welded it, it pulled that way. And it doesn't matter to me if it's tapered a little bit, but this is perfectly flat here to the press. So that's what I go off of. But what that is a piece of dozer's cutting edge blade that bolts to the front. There's 6 or 8 pieces that bolt on the front of a dozer edge, so you don't wear the actual blade itself down. You wear these down and then replace these with, they bolt these on to the actual dozer blade itself. And that, hence that square hole right there, is where a carriage bolt would go through and bolt it to the actual dozer blade itself. But this material is extremely abrasive resistant. So that's why I went with this type of material to do my cutting with, because it takes a lot of abuse. It took me 2 days. I had a 4-inch grinder, regular grinder, like this one over here. Just a standard grinder like this one. And I ground on that for about 2 days on this blade to get this taper, you know, this 2-inch, approximately 2-inch taper down to a point here. Now this was originally a lot sharper than this when I originally built it, but I've just wore it down over time from resharpening and whatever. But that belt sander, I sanded on it with that too, and I burn up belts on them, and them belts are not cheap on that. That is a I think it's a 7 or 8 horsepower, 3-phase, 208 motor that's in those belt sanders. And of course I've got 2 of them, but you can't stop them hardly. No matter how hard you push on them, you cannot stop that. But I ground on this with that, and this thing, it didn't even hardly scratch it. So I ended up going up to a buddy of mine, has a weld shop in town here, and he had a grinding stone, about a 10-inch grinding stone that he had on like a giant handheld grinder, like a big grinder. And it took me about an hour and a half, 2 hours of non-stop grinding. Now I would grind and stop and drop this in a bucket of cold water, because I didn't want to build the temperature up and lose the hardness of this metal. Because what will happen is, if you heat it up too hot, you'll anneal this metal and you'll lose that temper and that hardness. So I would grind, stop, cool it down, grind, cool it down, grind, cool it down, until I got this taper to where I wanted it, as much as I could get it the way I had it ground. And I drawed lines on here to give myself some guidelines, and I actually have a pair of veneers somewhere in here, but I scribed a line right down the center of this to get the center line dead down the center, where the cutting edge was even on both sides, as close as I could get it. But anyway, that's about the cutting edges and the blades that I got. Now I have the ability to get some more of this stuff, and my brother has some great big giant, they come off like a D11, D12 dozer. He's got some cutting edges out there at his house that were left behind when he bought the property, and they're huge. I mean, I think they're about 11 or 12 inches wide, and I don't know, 1.5 feet, 2 foot long, and they probably weigh 300 pounds a piece. But they're the same material, the hardened material. So if I need any of that for bigger stuff as I go here, I probably will get that and use it. But I do have the ability to get some more of that size if I need to. The problem I had with this is all the wider that the piece was. So I couldn't make my blade bigger, because the piece was only 6 inches wide, the width of this right here. And you can see that's a factory edge, so it was only this wide. Now I could have made it longer. I could have made this longer, because this was on there, but I didn't want to make it any longer, because I've got this set this distance, and this works good for this, because this is about 6 inches wide, and that's about how wide that is, so that worked out good there. But this is set where when this thing is at full stroke, this thing stops about that close to the blade. I never wanted it to be able to hit steel on my cutting edge. And that's why you'll see me use a block of wood or one of these other motors as a spacer to keep it from bottoming out on steel. So that's how I do it. But with that, so we're gonna go on to something else. I think I have some people interested in my fuses, so I may end up selling them. I don't know if I can get more than scrap price out of them. I'm going to sell them, and I've got 2 boxes of them, a box over there and a box right here. So we're not going to mess with them until Monday. And then I'll probably just tear into some of this stuff tonight and make a short little video. I'm real curious on what's inside this thing, because this thing is pretty heavy. So I don't know what's inside there, but we're going to tear into that tonight and see what's in it. It's got some, it's not extremely heavy, but it ain't light either. But we do know that there's a good set of fuses. There's a points, them are silver there. We got a coil underneath that's copper. I really have no idea what this thing is. Doesn't matter to me anyways, because I'm chopping it up. So we're just going to find out together. Obviously that's some kind of copper insulated wire. Throw that over there. We might strip that in a minute. But we definitely got some weird stuff here off my brother, that's for sure. And like I say, he didn't know what he had either. I don't either. He bought a house and had a bunch of hand radio stuff in it. So we're just gonna tear it apart, see what's in here. I don't know what that is, but that looks like silver. This feels like aluminum. Yep. I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna cut it off. That feels like aluminum too. Probably could have just left it in there. That's sheet aluminum. That's aluminum too. Straight tip. This doesn't have much weight to it. So probably won't waste a whole lot of time on it here. Maybe cut the wires and go with that. Take that panel off. This is all aluminum, but I don't know if I want to take all this apart for that little bit of aluminum. Yeah, I'm not taking all that apart. I ain't even taking it. Well, let's see. There we go. Take that off like that. Throw the rest of that in shred because I ain't messing with it. That's coaxial there, junk. That's standard wire. Get all this wire out of the way. in there. There's a copper motor right there, I hope. Some kind of fan to run in there to cool it off. Well, that's got straight tips right there. And 10 millimeter. Yep, there we go. Nice little motor. Might cut that in half with the thing. Might pull that out like most people do off the side. There's another group of wires here I didn't even realize was on there. All that wire is tin coated copper too, but I run it right through my chopper. More straight tips. Get that out here. Like I say, I have no idea what this stuff is, what it does. No idea, but that definitely looks like silver right there. That has that tarnished look to it. Well, there's a transformer in there or something. I just pulled the wire out through it. This might be silver coated copper. I don't know. Hell, it might be all silver. You know, that might be a solid bar silver. I don't know, that might be copper coated silver too, or brass. Silver coated brass is what I'm guessing it is. One of these days I'll get through all the silver stuff and have it tested or something. Melt it down into a bar. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do with it. I don't know what that is either. But it looks like it's got silver on it. Throw it in the silver bucket. That looks like that's silver too, and that. That almost looks like silver too. At minimum, it's brass. At minimum. But for some reason, I feel like that's all silver. Just the way it's tarnished and don't know if it's silver coated, be worth going after, but even like these look like silver coated. I'm gonna put it in the silver bucket. I can't get to them other two. What we got going on here? That's just thread there. Hell, that's just a little piece of copper there. I don't know. We'll just drop it in there. Hey, you put it together. Little transformer. Seven. So I did that. Sure as heck ain't that one. Give me an 8. Yeah. I'm going after here. Well, can't get them off, chop them off. And no coil and some points. Silver points on that one for sure. Brass in there. That and a dirty brass. Yeah, a little dirty brass. I shot that other one somewhere else. I don't know where it went. Piece of aluminum, brass. This is just all sheet metal. Look at that. Damn straight tips. Now, no idea, guys, but it's heavy.
It's heavy and it looks like all of it's coated in silver. Like I say, bare minimum it's brass. Oh. But boy, does that look like silver to me. More wires. Can't quite get that down in there sometimes. Easier to do it with a pair of dikes. Aluminum. Nope. Is that copper? Look at that. Copper. Number 2. Boy. Whoa. About got the old fingertip. Well, I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think? It's brass underneath. I think it's silver. But it sure looks like brass underneath. Which either way, that's a pretty good chunk. That's probably 3 pounds, 4 pounds right there. Some more goodies. I am not going to mess with the rest of that. Well, take that out of there because I think it's silver coated too. And I know it's at least brass. Heavy. I'm not going to take these down any further until I figure out what they are. So we're just going to throw them over here because we know they're at least brass. But I really have a good feeling that that's all silver. This is for sure silver coated brass. I don't know if I can if anybody can separate that is the thing, or is it just worth turning in as brass is the question. And we got this here. Of course, we got straight tips everywhere. Silver. One of these days I'll heat these up and take all these off. Sell them. Not sure what I'm going to do with them. There's quite a bit in there though. Them are probably brass, but I ain't chasing it. Throw it in shred. Not enough for me to worry about. Nice little nugget, as Project Shop would say. Throw it into number 2. Brass. I should have been throwing them in, no, them straight tips, and we're going right in the trash. Okay, what else do we have? Could go after this one. Like so. This is the one I tried to cut on the press, just messing around the other day. I'm sure I made it a lot more difficult to get it out, smashing it, but I was trying something new, and it kind of worked. Cut through most of it. The problem is when I cut through it like that, I smashed the other side flat, so it's going to make it tough to get that out. I can't get nothing under it now. But one of the guys made a comment on one of my videos to use my air hammer and an old curved bit, and I actually already had one that I dulled down and put a curve in it that I did do this with. It's been a while, but that's what I built it for. So he reminded me, and I'm gonna try it. He or she, don't know who it was, but thanks for the reminder. Worked pretty good. Number 2. Let me put the squish down on this thing. Tight. There we go. I tell you, that thing, that's a scrapper's dream right there. They are not cheap though. This one I got, my other one's getting rebuilt. My green one, if you guys go back in my earlier videos, it's getting rebuilt. This is a demo that Snap-on gave me because I had my green one rebuilt, which is the good part about Snap-on, but it's still they charged me, I think, $150 to rebuild mine to factory specs, and I've had it for 7 or 8 years, and but they gave me this one while they rebuild my other one. All right, I'm back. Damn battery died. Oh, I didn't see that. Almost. Do I want to go after that little bit? I don't know if that's copper or not, but we're gonna find out. I don't think it is. Yes, it is too. Is it worth chasing that little bit? I'll tell you what. I'm just gonna cut it off on each side. Leave what's stuck in the middle in it. Give me a good sharp one. What I was saying, guys, was they I'll have my green one back, and it'll be completely rebuilt to Snap-on standards. But these guns, I think they range in between $600 and $900. But I used to be an automotive mechanic, diesel mechanic, if you didn't know that. But I worked on diesel trucks for, I don't know, 5 or 10 years, something like that. Messed around, hobby working on them, tuning them, whatever. So that's why I got a lot of this Snap-on stuff. And the one guy made a comment on these, and they're like a set of adjustable wrench or crescent wrench. They're also like a pipe wrench. They're like a combination thing, but these things are the best pair of monkey wrenches, I guess you can call them, or crescent adjustable wrenches, or whatever you want to call them. They're a little bit different, but these things you can bear down on some stuff now and get a hold of it. They make these in 3 different sizes. This is also a Snap-on. Any of this stuff you see in green, that was the color I had, because we had a couple other mechanics that worked in the shop. They had different colors. They had black, white, or black and red, and my stuff was all green, so we didn't get it confused. But that's the reason for that. Well, we got a nice little pound there or so, number 2. Throw it in here with the rest of it. We'll take this little motor here. We'll just chop it up too while we're at it. While we got the tools out. Get that up under there. These little fine wires. Chop the rest of that with a pair of dikes. Get through the majority of it. Double hinders. Sometimes you can wiggle these around and get them to fall right out. I see some chunks of copper in this one as well. Go ahead. Another nice little chunk. Might be able to pull that up out of there, but I doubt it. Maybe I'll drive it out the side though, like that. That worked. Get all of it. There we go. There we go. Another nice little chunk. We'll save that. We got a whole lot of transformers coming, and I am going to build transformer buster. I've got some heavy steel outside that I'm going to build some stuff out of. I just haven't done it. That's going to be the end of this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. I'm going to be building some stuff over the next week or so. I have a 17-year background in building jet engine parts as a TIG welder. So we're going to be putting some stuff together. If you guys want to see that stuff being built and put together, then leave a comment, thumbs up, like, subscribe, and until next time.